Hey everyone, it's Sarah and welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be talking about Devin and Alicia and their spiral into insanity, because really the latest developments in the international custody battle and the divorce between Devin and Jihoon has taken a really wild turn. Clearly, I think it's fairly obvious that Devin and Alicia are getting either no legal advice or extremely bad legal advice, because what they're doing is, in my opinion, essentially handing this case over. A big win to Jihoon and his legal team, as well as opening them up for legal trouble themselves. So let's jump right in. Okay, so a couple days ago, Amanda, who is the coordinator of the GoFundMe for Jihoon, who got him connected with a lawyer so that he can try to establish parental rights here in the United States, come to some sort of custody agreement with Devin. She posted on her Instagram some very interesting developments, and let me just read what she posted to you. So she said, I just spoke with Joe, who is Jihoon's attorney, and he asked me to update everyone. Devin has determined that his legal assistant, Amber Charrington, is the one running an Instagram account that Devin has tried to take down. Devin did not realize that the legal assistant has been monitoring the account for about a month now, collecting information from the group posting to the account. Elicia showed up at Amber's relative's door today, accusing the resident's daughter of posting online about Devin. She wanted the daughter's address and demanded the information be removed. This really is crossing the line. The 22-year-old daughter went to the same high school as Devin, so Elicia, the private investigator, decided guilty. Anyone living in Utah or going to Layton High School is automatically a suspect, apparently. The relative contacted the Layton Police Department and reported the incident. Very smart. Good for you. They will report any harassment going forward involving any family member of their family initiated by Devin's family. Alicia also lied about how she obtained the resident's address and information, and then she gives what to do if this happens to you, because who knows. What to do if Alicia shows up on your doorstep and accuses you or your daughter of posting about Devin. Contact your local police, contact Amanda, and she'll pass the information on to Joe. You can also reach out to Joe and his office directly, and she gives that information. This is on her Instagram, by the way, so you can check it out there. And she said, on top of that, Devin called the police in South Korea to report Jihoon and his mother for child abuse. So this was a couple days ago, so January 2021. This is crazy. Alicia, first of all, like I said before, I don't know who is giving Devin and Alicia advice, but this is a terrible way to go about trying to establish that you are the more fit parent, doing crazy antics like that. Devin is a public figure. Unless people are posting like really bad stuff, like the stuff that is like depicting harming her, or like her personal information, like doxing her. People can post their opinions about her because she's a public figure. So Devin has a very not accurate idea of what defamation is. She has a very inaccurate idea of what harassment is, and clearly, because she actually is by her mother stalking members of Jihoon's legal team, that actually is harassment. That actually could end up with Devin and Alicia in legal hot water. This is crazy to me. The other thing I wanted to point out, and I was sent the court filings for the divorce proceedings. Devin, I'm not going to post them because it does contain personal information. We're not about doxing here on this channel. So just know that Devin arrived. Let's back up and go through the timeline real quick. Real high level overview of the timeline. Devin came back from Korea in May. She goes on, it's around like late August, early September that these rumors about vile things start circulating on the internet, with John Yates jumping in to Devin's defense and comments with followers. Then on October 2nd, Devin goes on to All About the Tea, who is Monica's YouTube channel, does a live interview with John Yates, essentially saying they have all this evidence, they're doing this documentary, we're gonna see all of these things come out, and that she has initiated court proceedings. That's really key because that's a load of BS. In the United States, all she did, and what a lot of us were wondering is, what exactly is she going to have Jihoon charged with here in the United States? Because none of this occurred in the United States. So a lot of people, myself included, were very confused as to when she claimed they had jurisdiction in the United States. For me personally, I had said this a couple times, I think all she can really do is divorce him. And that's exactly what she is trying to do. And she waited until November 24th to initiate divorce proceedings. And really everything, it was going like according to how a regular divorce would go. And then Jihoon on January 4th, this is after his GoFundMe was verified and validated, and he obtained legal counsel, he responded. Then she starts going on these tirades where she issues the cease and desist to the Amanda, the GoFundMe coordinator. And now she has just now, January, probably the second week of January 2021, she's contacted the Korean authorities to report Jihoon and his mother for mistreatment. If this doesn't reek of total and utter BS, I don't know what does. And honestly, the more and more this story develops, the more and more I become more steadfast in my view that Devin really put out all of this vague accusations against Jihoon to garner sympathy for her wanting to come back to the United States. I think the relationship was over, at least in her mind. I don't know at what point her relationship really started ramping up with her new boyfriend, but I think at some point she decided that she was definitely not going to return to Korea, and this was a way for her to save face in the court of public opinion. The problem is that Devin is not the calculating mastermind that it would take to pull off this kind of like calculated move. Her claims are constantly being debunked by her own words, by her own posts, by her YouTube channel. So many things have been disproven based on the stuff that she has put out herself. So it's really wild to me that she is really standing by these claims. Now, if she is initiating a criminal case against Jihoon in Korea, I'm assuming she is going to have to return to Korea to see this through. And honestly, I want to say, like, at what point do you just like call it and say, okay, let's come to some sort of custody agreement? But with Devin, I think a logical person would have stopped this a long time ago, or not even started this to begin with. But Devin does not appear to be a very logical person. And I really believe, and I've said this before, she lives in this land where if she says it, you guys, it has to be true. And why would anyone not believe her? So, and I do apologize for sounding a little more flippant than I try to. This is just total crap to me. I had said, I think someone messaged me online, I think Elicia is an enabler that is enabling terrible behavior and setting a terrible example for how to be a parent, for how to be a parent that's raising a child that's always going to do the right things. And I really hate criticizing people's parenting, because I think parent shaming is really blah. But in this instance, when your daughter is doing something that's so outrageous to begin with, and there's been very little evidence and very little movement on her part to even, you would think, and a lot of people have been talking about, if this was such a dire situation, if this needed to be handled right away, if you needed to keep this person away from your family, I would think you would do everything as fast as possible legally as you could to make sure that this person was legally not allowed to be around you. But she never did. So, but instead of encouraging her daughter to take the proper precautions, to go through the proper channels to ensure a divorce happened, to ensure any type of custody agreements happen, to ensure any kind of protective orders were instituted. She didn't do anything like that. Instead, they think a troll account, or an alleged troll account that is saying mean things about Devin, is somehow worthy of Alicia in some manner, some nefarious manner, in my opinion, obtaining their personal information and showing up at their door. That is a huge security concern. That's real messed up, and I would be very scared if I was that person that had Alicia show up to their door. If you went that far as to obtain my address, how much further are you willing to take this? That is scary. That is very scary and very serious. And since there's actually hard evidence of that happening, I really hope that that person who had Alicia show up at her door pursues whatever to the fullest extent of the law to ensure that Alicia pays the consequences for that, because that is terrible. That is absolutely terrible, and really is going to end up being a disservice to Devin's case. So this is just idiotic, in my opinion. I said a couple videos back that I thought this cease and desist was silly and erroneous, because really team, if we're going to call them Team Jihoon, the legal team, Amanda, the coordinator, and everyone who's really been trying to help Jihoon get custody rights of his son, I haven't seen a lot, if any, disparaging comments made about Devin. Really, what people are trying to do is disprove what she is accusing him of and show that there's very little to no evidence that actually corroborates her story. So people aren't coming to maliciously attack Devin, in my opinion. It's more giving validation and support to Jihoon, which I guess in Devin's eyes and in Alicia's eyes is akin to defaming her. I don't know, it just makes no sense. So I'm sure that this is not going to be the last that we hear of this. These antics, I really hope stop. I really hope someone, Devin's dad, Alicia's husband, I hope he goes, "What are you guys doing? This is bananas." I don't know. Someone has to have a logical thought and a logical conversation with these two, because what they're doing is nonsensical, to say the least. What do you guys think about these latest developments? What should this person, Amber Charrington, do? Seek a restraining order? I hope she at least gets that. What do you guys think about just the way Devin is responding publicly to Jihoon's divorce, responding to his quest for custodial rights? To me, this seems like a really terrible way to go about validating your side, but we will see what happens. I'm also curious because I have no idea so these instances of mistreatment that she's alleging, now that she's contacted Korean authorities, what is going to happen there? I'm super curious because I'm assuming she is going to have to provide evidence, and if it's the evidence we've seen that thus far, I would think she'd probably get laughed out of court, but we will see. She was all set to go to release this publicly as a documentary, so I'm assuming hopefully she'll be willing to turn over such evidence to the authorities, and we can probably, hopefully, once and for all, one thing I've been hoping all along is that this actually does have some sort of adjudication in a court, because when it's just a he said, she said, it's really whose side you believe more. When evidence is presented to someone who hopefully in theory looks at it unbiasedly, takes in the preponderance of the evidence and makes a decision, that's a little bit more of a validating opinion for whose side is, I don't know, I guess more right. There's no doubt, I don't think that they had a pretty bad marriage. I think that quarantine was also really hard on them in a small apartment with 2 kids, not being able to do much. It was hard on a lot of people. It continues to be hard on a lot of people. But as I've maintained, that's no excuse to just accuse people of wildly atrocious things just to be able to get out of a situation you got yourself into, i.e. starting a family with someone that lives in another country. So in my opinion, Devin's going to have to put on some grown-up pants, come to some sort of custody agreement. I had made a Instagram story maybe a week or so ago, where I thought probably the best interest for Taeyang and Drusilla too would be because I really don't see Devin ever relocating to to Korea again, would be for Jihoon to consider relocating to the United States. But we'll see what happens, just because it would make life the easiest on the children. And at the end of the day, they should be the focal point. But oh my gosh, seeing Jihoon's interview with 90 Day Yahoo Boy, Lita, Amanda, and Joe, the attorney, and then seeing Jihoon's mom, also, she was so emotional, and there is just so much pain and heartache and loss being experienced by that family, and I'm so happy that they are being given the resources and a platform to speak their side of the story. I'm really happy that they're having the opportunity to do that. You guys, make sure you comment your thoughts on this current situation down below. Leave a like, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Reality Squad, and I will see you in the next video. Have a wonderful day, you guys. Bye-bye.